Hello, and welcome back to the fourth lesson of Module 4. Whether you're starting out or looking to grow, you will probably need to access some form of finance. So where can you go? This lesson goes through the various types of finance out there, the benefits of each, and where you might go to get some. In this lesson, we will explore the different opportunities for funding your social enterprise in the beginning. It is essential to also look at the ways to ensure success when acquiring funds for your social enterprise. Finance options will depend greatly on how you've set up your social enterprise. As a reminder, at any stage, feel free to pause the video to take notes, rewind to hear information again, or stop the video to complete a learning activity. Let's begin. In this lesson, we will cover 4 topics, each of which have been designed to support your financial learning on the path to being a social entrepreneur. This lesson will discuss the importance of different finance options, grants, crowdfunding, and tips for securing funds. This topic looks at different finance options available to social enterprises. How you finance your social enterprise will depend on how you have set up your company. For example, financing a charity will differ from financing a multinational corporation. That's why when we start out on your social enterprise journey, knowing how and where to access funding is just as important as naming your social enterprise, or even finalizing the details of your initial idea. Accessing finance is a fundamental step in running a successful enterprise. However, there are many different types of finance options, so it can be difficult to determine which ones are most appropriate for you and your social enterprise. Some options might require long-term paybacks, while others could boost your social enterprise's image while providing essential funding. There are many types of finance options, which we will discuss. As social enterprises are mostly companies limited by guarantee in Ireland and often have charitable status, we have focused on those options primarily for raising income. These include banks, social lenders, incubators and accelerators, competitions, crowdfunding, and grants. Banks and social investment lenders offer loans which you must pay back. While these, specifically social investment lenders, are viable options for social enterprises, they might suit your organisation further down the line when you are up and running successfully and would like to expand. Instead, we will focus on the other financing options which bring in money with less requirement to return the money. Social enterprise incubators and accelerator programs are specifically designed to help social entrepreneurs create and grow sustainable businesses. These programs match some seed funding with a program that brings social enterprises on a rapid journey to prove their concept and help them achieve scale. Incubators focus on early phase startups that are in the business development phase, while accelerators focus on speeding up the growth of existing companies. These type of supports offer resources such as mentorship, networking opportunities, access to capital, and aim to help entrepreneurs succeed in the marketplace. As the sphere of social entrepreneurship has expanded in the past few years, so too has the number of accelerators and incubators. Entering a startup competition can be a powerful experience for a startup or new business. It can be a great way to build momentum for your idea during the critical first year. Winning comes with a lot of perks, but even if you don't win, you won't leave empty-handed. Some competition boasts prizes that range from €500 to €500,000. Other non-cash prizes could also include free business services, access to mentors, headline exposure to business communities, and numerous PR opportunities. This topic looks at how to access the different grants available. Grants are essentially gifts that do not have to be paid back under most conditions. The number of grants available to social enterprises is becoming more accessible. The logistics of the grants are determined by the individual organisation offering the grant. Winnings might be a small amount to the overall amount you need to achieve your goals, but well thought out social enterprise ideas can achieve great success with projects that start from €10,000 or more. The type of grant you apply for will depend on the type of enterprise you are setting up. For small grants or additional support such as catering, it is better to approach a local business for support. For larger grants, the most appropriate method is approaching companies for sponsorship or grants. For more substantial support, reach out to the company's associated trust, but always remember to make your request proportionate to the size of the business. Even the largest of companies often have quite limited resources for community support. Keep your requests within reasonable levels. Companies have absolutely no obligation to support voluntary and community work. They do it when it is good business for them. As with all grant makers, you must research each company individually to understand how they choose to work. This can be achieved often by visiting the company's website and consulting any CSR section it may contain, or by engaging directly with relevant contacts at the company. As with other funders, companies solicit applications in different ways. Some produce clear guidelines and have application forms for potential applicants. Others simply ask for applicants to be made in writing. Others operate on a more personal level by soliciting their own causes to support. Some companies will only support charities when their employees can be actively involved or nominate the project. In these cases, an approach from a non-employee is simply wasting the applicant's and company's time. Other businesses have staff charity funds or staff committees, which influence where funding is given and/or the selection of the charity or social enterprise of the year. Therefore, it is helpful for all your volunteers and individual supporters who are in employment to become aware of the community support policy of their employer. When applying to an organisation for a grant or financial support, you must consider any negative impact your enterprise might receive from it. Consider the negative implications and ethical concerns of a social enterprise supporting children in sports receiving a grant from a tobacco company. Other firms' work practice or profile may negatively affect the public's view of a social enterprise connected to them. Generally speaking, companies want their charitable support to increase their profits. Who they fund depends on the industry they operate in. Community and voluntary organizations must consider the implications of accepting company sponsorship and support. Support from companies in the alcohol or tobacco industries may raise ethical concerns and should be avoided where possible. What companies fund often depends largely on the industry in which the companies operate, although other factors such as founders, management, and staff preference are also very influential. Generally speaking, companies want their charitable support to increase their profits. Location, location, location. With most companies, location is an important factor. Many organizations choose only to support in areas where they have a significant presence, at a factory, office, or retail outlet. This is why it is helpful for local and regional organizations to know which businesses are located in their area. A good tip is to list the businesses in the local main street, retail parks, industrial estates, and enterprise areas in your locality, as they tend to prioritize areas where staff and customers live. Even if the name is not one you recognize, you may be fortunate enough to have a small operation of a multinational company in your area, which may allow access to a new form of support. There are many grant funding supports available through the European Union. It can sometimes be difficult to find these supports in a sea of resources. 2 actions to take in order to improve your chances of hearing about the available supports is to join together.eu and to reach out to your MEPs. Together.eu is an online community of pan-European active citizens interested in learning from each other and finding common ground on EU issues. This is a great way to hear about financial support from the EU. Know who your local MEPs are and organise to sit down with them and discuss European funding streams and support available to your social enterprise. This topic looks at engaging in crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a way of raising money from a large number of people via online platforms. There are plenty of crowdfunding initiatives that you can avail of now thanks to innovative crowdfunding platforms. You can receive a considerable amount of income from people who are engaged in your idea. Crowdfunding is most often used by startup companies or growing businesses as a way of accessing alternative funds. It can also be a way of cultivating a community around your offering. By using the power of the online community, you can also gain useful market insights and access to new customers. However, there is a process to set up a crowdfunding campaign, which we will discuss in more detail. Crowdfunding platforms are websites that enable interaction between fundraisers and the crowd. Crowdfunding harnesses the power of social networks and the internet to give people the means to raise funds, help overcome hardship, and meet aspirational goals. Financial pledges can be made and collected through the crowdfunding platform. Fundraisers are usually charged a fee by the platform. In return, crowdfunding platforms are expected to provide a secure and easy-to-use service. Examples of platforms include GoFundMe, Indiegogo, and Kickstarter. Many platforms operate an all-or-nothing funding model. This means that if you reach your target, you get the money, and if you don't, everybody gets their money back. No hard feelings and no financial loss. There are multiple types of crowdfunding options. Many types of crowdfunding include peer-to-peer lending, where the crowd lends money to a company with the understanding that the money will be repaid with interest. It is very similar to a traditional borrowing from a bank, except that you borrow from lots of investors. Equity crowdfunding. This is the sale of a stake in a business to a number of investors in return for investment. The idea is similar to how common stock is bought or sold on a stock exchange or to a venture capital. Rewards-based crowdfunding. Individuals donate to a project or business with expectations of receiving in return a non-financial reward, such as goods or services at a later stage in exchange of their contribution. Donation-based crowdfunding. Individuals donate small amounts to meet the larger funding aim of a specific charitable project while receiving no financial or material return. Profit sharing or revenue sharing. This is where businesses can share future profits or revenue with the crowd in return for funding now. Debt securities crowdfunding. Individuals invest in a debt security issued by the company, such as a bond. Hybrid models offer businesses the opportunity to combine elements of more than one crowdfunding type. Before beginning a crowdfunding campaign, ensure you are following the best type of campaign for your social enterprise. The final topic of this lesson looks at how to ensure you are successful in acquiring your funds. The majority of organizations struggle to raise enough money, and they often don't know why. When you're on the inside of an organization that is used to doing things a certain way, it can be nearly impossible to see new opportunities or to understand what you could do differently. There can be many reasons why an organization doesn't bring in enough money, but here are 3 of the top reasons why your organization could struggle financially. 1. You're leaving money up to one person. The financial engine of an organization must be a team effort. Yes, it is important if you are large enough to have a staff member whose sole job it is to think about money, but you cannot leave it all up to them. The entire organization, from the frontline staff all the way up to the chair of the board, must understand the critical importance of money and what role each individual plays in securing it. Although program staff won't actively solicit donors, they can still share client stories with donors, write blogs or newsletter articles, participate in program tours with donors, and even suggest new ideas for tying money to the organisation. And there are countless ways for board members to bring money in the door, but you have to make sure that they are aware of and doing their part. 2. You're not effectively telling your story. It is more important than ever that organisations be able to articulate in a compelling way what value they are providing a community. It is so important for non-profit staff and organisation board members who believe so passionately in their cause to think that it's obvious to outsiders why they should get involved, but it isn't. And in an increasingly crowded social change marketplace, it is more important than ever that organisations be able to articulate what value they are providing. 3. You're trying to be like everyone else. You have to analyse what you have to offer. Too many non-profit organisations are struggling financially and witness other organisations' fundraising activities. They then try to replicate that perceived success without analysing if it actually makes sense for them. Just because it looks like a recent gala or a new thrift store rakes in the money doesn't mean that A, it did actually make a profit for the organisation, and B, that it would make a similar profit for your organisation. The key is to make the best use of your specific assets as an organisation. Think about the value you have to offer and who might be interested in paying for that value. For example, a homeless shelter could financially partner with a local business to move people away from storefronts and into a more stable and life-changing accommodation. You have to analyse what you have to offer and who specifically would be willing to pay for that value. Knowing who to approach for funding is important. Using the information provided in this lesson, research the most appropriate funder for your social enterprise. Look at the following factors. Are they located near your enterprise? Why would they fund your enterprise? Do their values align with your values? How much do you require from them? Do they currently fund other enterprises? Can you apply to a program they are currently operating? Finally, to conclude this lesson, let's revise what we have discussed. The type of funding you seek will depend on the type of enterprise you are setting up. Knowing who to seek funding from and how to apply for finance is essential information. Always put your enterprise's best foot forward when seeking funding. Look locally, nationally, and on a European level for funding opportunities. This lesson has covered quite a lot of information. Don't be afraid to refer back to it at a later stage. Looking forward to seeing you again in the next lesson.